Yo. What up, though? This is your boy, Chris B. Daniels, and you are now on Show and Talk. All right, y'all. So, tonight's movie is a movie that believe it or not, I never heard of. I just recently seen it about 2 days ago. It came out all the way back in 1992. A lot of y'all may have heard of it, but I never heard of it until then. Actually, my boy Rico, shout outs to Rico Covington, you know what I mean? AKA Ricky Ruger, you know what I'm saying? He put me on the shit. The movie is called Mikey. So before we get into this film, right? It's not your average, psychological movie where you got your kid, the little kid who's kind of evil, but then it might be a mental illness or something like that. Like the movie, what's the movie? The Good Son. That's one of my favorite films with Elijah Woods and Macaulay Culkin. You know what I'm saying? That movie is like, it's a classic because in that movie, it's not your traditional like slasher with your child. It's like Macaulay Culkin, his character is Henry. So he's more like a psychotic case. You know what I mean? Let's say, how can I put this? Like, because you would think that he wasn't like that until Elijah Wood characters got there. He just showed up. You know what I mean? His name is Mark. So basically, it seems like Macaulay Culkin was a normal kid. I keep calling him by his real name. Henry was a normal kid, and he didn't start acting, crazy until Mark showed up. But then it was proven that he killed his little brother Richard when he was a baby because Richard basically was getting more attention than he was. That's pretty much the gist of that, you know what I mean? So, but that's not the movie we're gonna be talking about. I just wanted to compare that to this movie, Mikey. So in this movie right here, it's about a kid who keeps getting adopted by different families, and then the families wind up being murdered. But it seems like nobody knows who's doing all this, and you wouldn't think that a 11-year-old kid, or in the movie, I think he was supposed to be 9 years old. Yeah, 9. But you wouldn't think he would be the one doing it, but he was the one doing it. So there's a lot of things wrong with this movie, but I did like it. Might be one of my new favorite films. You know what I'm saying? So. But there's a couple of things wrong with it. One, and I seen reviews on this movie before I did this one, so I gotta say it. One, the characters in the movie were plain, and I know y'all hate this word, don't take it the wrong way, but just fucking retarded, man. They were stupid, in other words. You know what I mean? And I'm not making fun of no handicapped people out there. Trust and believe I'm not doing that. So don't get offended. Especially y'all who don't have a disability, you know what I'm saying? Don't get offended, okay? I'm just saying it in the context of them being stupid. They were dumb, right? And there's a couple of scenes to prove that these characters were dumb. Like you had one scene where at the beginning, so Mikey is standing there setting something on fire in the house. And the mother, she wasn't feeling that. So she winds up slapping him in his face because Mikey wanted his little sister, which was his adopted sister, to take the blame for it. And she wouldn't do it because it was all on him. So he basically gets mad because she didn't take the blame. So what he did was he took her doll and started running around the house. She starts chasing him around the house with her doll and everything, trying to get her doll back. So they end up outside at the pool. And they make their way onto the diving board. So what happens is Mikey drops the doll into the pool, and they're both standing on the diving board. And she's a little girl, so she tries to like gets down on her hands and knees to try to reach for the doll. So Mikey starts jumping on the diving board, up and down, up and down. And then the little girl is trying to hold on. So he's basically doing that for the purpose of her losing her balance and falling into the pool. So eventually she does. So she starts drowning and everything, struggling to try to keep her head up, at the surface. And the shit's crazy, yo. This movie it pulled no punches. You know what I'm saying? So she's basically trying to keep her head up, trying to stay afloat, but she's drowning. And Mikey just sits there and watches her drown. So eventually she dies in the pool. So the next thing that happens is when he's done with her, he goes back into the house, overhears his adopted mother. Damn, I can't talk tonight, y'all. Damn, what the hell? But nah, his mother on the phone talking to somebody, saying basically she regrets adopting him. And when he heard that, he ain't like it. So what he did was he took a blow dryer. He's holding on to the blow dryer while she's in the water. And this part right here is what made her a stupid character. So I don't know, she could have just jumped out of the bathtub real quick before he threw it in there. So she's just sitting there basically saying, "Put it down, Mikey. Put it down." And he's sitting there with a blow dryer, which is plugged up to the wall. She's sitting in the pool. I mean, not the pool, the tub. And then she had ample opportunity to get out the tub, but she's sitting in there. So he throws the blow dryer into the tub, electrocuting her to death. And so after that, sometime later, the father comes home. He shows up. So, he greets him or whatever when he walks into the house. And basically, he says, "How you doing?" or "What you doing, champ?" So this is the thing about Mikey right here, y'all. One, he likes to record his kills. He likes to record, his murders and everything. So basically, Mikey's the type that'll hide what he does, but eventually, I guess when he's about to finish off the rest of the family, he'll show the last person his work. So, basically he's asking Mikey, "What did you do today?" Blase, blase. And he tells his adopted dad to turn around. And he sees his daughter in the pool floating because she's already dead. So, he panicking. He starts to panic and then he runs outside. But before he got outside, he slips on some marbles that Mikey threw on the floor, resulting in him crashing through the glass door. So after this, the guy's sitting there all fucked up, busted up, cracked up, cut up. And Mikey comes with this aluminum bat. And now, I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, yo. It's a movie after all. So I thought the shit was funny when he said, "See you, champ." And he just started beating the shit out of the dad with the damn aluminum bat. Like, yeah, I ain't even gonna lie. I laughed at that a little bit. I'm going to hell, you know what I mean? But yeah, he beat the shit out of him with the bat. So after this, later on, the police shows up and they see that everybody's been murdered. So Mikey is hiding in the closet or behind the door, looking all innocent, just innocent and angel like, so the cop is questioning him, trying to ask him, what happened. So he basically describes somebody, and then he says that person was in the big brown car. You know what I mean? Like, and he's a 9-year-old, so, you're not going to expect him to know exactly what make and model and all that. But so he basically says, this person looks like this, and he's in, he drove off in the big brown car or whatever. So the police buy it. So next thing you know, he goes back to the adoption agency, and he's sitting there talking to his psychologist or therapist. And then another family shows up, another couple, because this time these people I don't think they can have kids. So, oh yeah, and one more thing too. Now, for any of y'all who've seen this movie, I don't know if this is kind of like a dark version of Problem Child. Now, Problem Child was a funny movie. Like, that's one of my favorite films too. But this is kind of like a dark version of that, in my opinion. Like a horror version, But Mikey's to me, it's more funny than horror. But anyway, so the couple shows up. They see Mikey. Mikey's got like this innocent look about him. So they adopt him. They take him in. So when they bring him into the house, the first thing he notices is the fish tank that the parents have. or whatever. They adopt their parents. So Mikey wants to take care of the small fish. So the mother's like, okay, she agreed to it, whatever. So he also makes friends with this boy named Ben, right? So when I was watching the movie, I was trying to put my finger. I'm like, yo, this kid Ben, like, what other movie was he in? So I haven't really seen anything else with him in it. To be honest with you, I'm pretty sure he's in some other stuff. But the movie that I do recognize the kid from was the little fat kid in Jurassic Park in the beginning. Um, Alan, but Alan Grant, the little kid that Alan Grant was scaring with the raptor claw and all that, that's the kid. And it hit me, later on. So after that, they become friends. And then Mikey starts school in a new school and everything. So the teacher is friends with his adoptive mother. So every day they have this game or whatever with marbles. And then one day Mikey gets caught cheating or whatever he was doing, got caught putting marbles back into the bin. So what made the teacher a little disturbed is when one day while there was a school and everybody is drawing pictures and everything, she saw what Mikey drew. It was a guy getting his head cut off. So after that, she became suspicious of him. Not like suspicious, but worried about him. It went from worried to suspicion. Like worrying to suspicion. Because he was doing a lot of questionable shit. Like there was a scene in the movie where he was sitting there with his book open, but he had a picture of the next door neighbor, which Ben's older sister. That's the one that he was obsessed with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess he had a little crush on her or whatever. But the problem is that girl had a boyfriend and she was like 17 years old. So, that, of course, that's not going to work. But anyway, he was obsessed with his sister. So while he was sitting there looking at her picture, he was like poking himself with thumbtacks or whatever. So the teacher told him to come up to the front. Like she wanted to know what was so interesting, in what he was looking at in the book. So then she saw his arm. Then that's when she started becoming suspicious. She started trying to pull up his records, his files and everything to see where did this kid come from. But they really couldn't find no like records on his original family. All they knew is I think they were killed in a car accident or something. Sorry, y'all, I bumped the table. But yeah. After that, she also got some information on, eventually she got some information through somebody else about the last family he was with or how the entire family was murdered. So now, this is one part that pissed me off bad. So I'm going to skip to later on in the movie. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, cut the video right now. I'll give you a second. All right. Anyway, moving on. So the part that really pissed me off in the movie, and it was kind of funny, was the part where because the mom was really defending him. Like the foster mother was really defending him, even against her best friend, which was the teacher, of course. But you know what I mean? Like she wasn't trying to hear the fact that her son might be a psycho. You know what I mean? Because Mikey was a little bastard, what you saw in the beginning. But yeah, she was really, telling her friend, look, you just don't want to see me happy. Like, I'm just like, okay, so the lady looking dead serious. Why would she make up this shit about him, right? You know what I'm saying? But what happens is there's one particular scene that kind of gets you. Like when the foster mother is in the tub, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So Mikey walks in, she naked as hell in the tub and shit. So she turns around, Mikey, you know what I mean? So Mikey basically says that she doesn't, love him anymore or whatever. But then that's when he picks up a hot comb, which is plugged in. Now, you would think he was going to pull the same thing he did with his first foster mother by taking it and throwing it into the water, but he doesn't. She tells him to unplug it, and he unplugs it eventually. So that's basically like a, what you call that? Like a fake out. So later on, though, The mother eventually becomes suspicious when she well, you can't even say she's suspicious. She finally sees what this little boy is about. Because there was a scene where the girl and her boyfriend, they got into a little spat because Mikey killed the cat actually and put it right there under the boyfriend's tire on his truck. So when he pulled out, right, he accidentally ran over it, but it was already dead. But he made it look like that he just killed him. So, you know, the boyfriend is beeping the horn. So the girl comes out and sees that her cat is dead. And then she starts crying, but then it takes her a while to forgive him because, you know, he said it was an accident and everything, blase, blase. And Mikey's sitting there recording the shit with his camcorder. So later on, they get back together eventually, and Mikey don't like that shit. So what happens is there's one scene before I jump to the scene with the mother. There was a scene where the boyfriend was sitting in the pool, and I guess he was in the pool with the girlfriend. So the girlfriend gets out. I forgot what the girl's name was, but she gets out of the pool, right? And she goes to do something, and Mikey walks up to the guy. Now, this is another scene. I can't really blame him for being stupid, but, you know, the scene was he's sitting there talking to Mikey, and basically he says, he should apologize or something like that for killing the cat. And then basically the boyfriend is trying to tell him, look, I feel bad about it. You know what I mean? So Mikey was like, well, you shouldn't have radios near the pool and everything because it's not safe. And the boyfriend is like, basically, well, why? You know what I mean? So Mikey kicks the damn radio into the pool, electrocuting the shit out of him. So now he's dead. And he walks away. So the girlfriend eventually comes back. And she sees that he's in the pool just roasted. Like, you know what I mean? He's fried the fuck up. So later on, Mikey is spending time with her. And she's still in a, hard state of mind, like a crazy state of mind. She's still in shock that she saw him dead in the pool like that. Like, this dude was roasted, y'all. I'm telling you, like, Mikey fucked this kid up. So, Mikey starts hugging. Now, this is where she became suspicious of Mikey. He starts hugging on her, saying that, now he's dead. You can only love me now. You know what I mean? So that's when she starts questioning, everything about him. So she sends him home, hurting his feelings or whatever. So later on, though, Mikey comes back. Like, he comes back. This is, I'm trying to think, was this before or after he did the mother? And I think this might have been, no, this was after, I believe. So Mikey busted up into her house, right, with a bow and arrow. So he winds up shooting the arrow, but he misses her intentionally and hit the picture on the door. And so she runs into the room. Mikey leaves. So now this is the one scene that I've been wanting to talk about, like, by itself. The scene with the mother. This scene right here makes the mother the dumbest fucking character in the entire movie. Other than her best friend, the teacher. She was another dumb character. So the mom walks upstairs, sees Mikey watching video footage of the girl crying over her boyfriend's dead body in the pool. So Mikey turns around and says, what do you think? This is Mikey's home videos. He thinks it's funny. You know what I'm saying? Mikey's funny, his home videos or whatever. And he's sitting there with a hammer in front of him, right? And it's predictive. You know what I'm saying? It's predictable, yo. So after the video is done, Mikey gets up with the hammer, walks over to the mother, yo. Remember, a grown ass woman. This is a 9-year-old kid. She's sitting there basically in shock, saying, Mikey, put the hammer down or give me the hammer. And he smashes her fingers or smashes her hand. And she gets up and starts running, yo. So instead of like just picking his ass up and throwing him out the window or something like that. Yo, she's running to the fridge, getting something to put on it, wrap her hand up or put on her hand or whatever, right? So Mikey is still pursuing her. So she runs into the bedroom, locks the door, but Mikey comes through the other side. And they start, I guess, tussling or whatever, and Mikey picks up like this shard of glass. Cause what happened was Mikey was trying to get in, so he took the hammer, busted the glass door, unlocks it from the other side, walks in, and they start tussling and all that. Mikey grabs a piece of glass, chases her, and then both of them wind up falling over the stairs. And next thing you know, he's on top of her, knocked out, and she got the glass shard in her neck, which, in my opinion, that has got to be the most clueless person in the entirety of the movie, right? Like, how do you not know that you could just pick up a 9-year-old and toss his ass out the window? The boy wasn't a regular boy, you know? He was a straight, like, he was a demon, yo. You know what I'm saying? I'm not religious or nothing like that, but this kid was a fucking demon, yo. So, after he does her in, now, this is the next part where the woman, the teacher, and the counselor, I believe, he was either a PE teacher or a counselor. They both show up at Mikey's house. So both of them winds up walking in, right? And you know nothing is going to happen because it's both of them. So the teacher spots Mikey on top of her friend with a piece of glass sticking out of her neck. So you know she dead as fuck. So Mikey is still knocked out. So she goes outside. Both of them go back outside, and she's emotional and everything, an emotional wreck. And he says she's going to go back in and, you know, call the police and check things out. He goes back in the house, right? He takes the gun from the teacher because she had a gun on her, and she was going to use it to pop his ass. So he takes the gun from her because he thinks she's a little crazy. So he takes the gun. The gun is loaded, mind you. It has bullets in it. So he walks back into the house. Now, I don't know if they couldn't figure out a way for Mikey to overpower these adults or not, but the stuff they was doing was just pure dumb. So he puts the gun on the counter to pick up a phone off the wall, right? Mind you, this is 1992. There was no cell phones, and I guess cordless phones wasn't really that common. So he puts the gun down on the counter. Instead of just picking up the phone, using one hand to dial the numbers or whatever, with the gun in your hand, you put it on the counter, turn your back on top of that, not paying attention. So you see a hand coming out of nowhere, taking the gun, which is Mikey, of course. Like, what he basically did was take the bullets out of the gun and then put the gun back on the counter. So the phone doesn't work. He puts the phone back onto the receiver. Damn. He puts the phone back onto the receiver, right? And he picks up the gun. Then Mikey comes out of nowhere with the bow and arrow, with the infamous bow and arrow again. And then he takes the gun, he points it at Mikey. Put the bow down, Mikey. So Mikey, you know, he says something smart, and then he pulls the trigger and nothing is coming out. So Mikey shoots his ass with the bow. And he falls dead. So I'm like, okay, so this kid has a bow and arrow pointing at you. Like, you can't run out the door. You can't do anything. You just want to stand there and get shot. Like, man, these adults, y'all, I swear to God, yo, they were dumb. But he dies. So next thing you know, the teacher goes back into the house because I guess she's trying to figure out, you know, what's going on. So she goes back into the house. She runs into Mikey, and this time he has a slingshot with a marble. And so this scene right here, like, yo, I don't condone deaths or nothing like that in movies. I know it's just a movie, but yo, I'm just like, yo, how can I feel sorry for these characters? So she's standing there begging Mikey not to do what he was about to do, pulling back on the slingshot, and he says, he wants her to teach him one more lesson before, you know what I'm saying, one more lesson. And he says how to die. And he pulls, you know what I'm saying, he pulls back and releases the marble, and it goes through her damn eye. So she falls dead. So you got 3 adults, 3 fully grown people that was just murdered by a 9-year-old, dead. So he takes their bodies, he puts them in the dining room at the dinner table or whatever. So finally, the father calls, right? Checking on things. And Mikey's basically saying he got a lot accomplished that day. Blase, blase. He was waiting on him. So when his foster father gets home, his foster dad, when he comes home, right? He walks in. Now, this is I don't understand this. Like, there's blood on the phone. So he's sitting down, going through mail and shit, right? So, like, the phone is like right here, like literally right. Well, y'all can't see me, but the phone is literally right next to him. All he had to do was look up and see the blood on the phone. He doesn't. And then on the other side of him, there's a dude sitting there with an arrow sticking out of him. He doesn't see that either. So Mikey basically says, look, I got a surprise for you. And this is where this kid just went like just full psycho. This kid was mad. So he takes the dad into the dining room. He sees all 3 adults, all 3 grown ass people sitting right there. And instead of, trying to do something, he starts choking up and he starts panicking and he starts losing his shit because he sees his wife dead with a shard of glass sticking out of her throat. So Mikey somehow got some Molotov cocktail, throws it, blows the whole fucking house up, killing the dad, right? And somehow, I don't know how, but I caught it too. I don't know how, but he escaped, even though he was right there when the shit blew up. So, he winds up escaping. Spoiler alert again. But at the end, the cops show up, the fire department, everybody shows up. So the only survivors were his friend Ben and his sister next door. So they saying, all the casualties they found, then they found the skeleton of a 10-year-old. So the girl's basically saying, are you sure that's, a 10-year-old? So yeah, they said it's a 10-year-old. So how to explain that part is earlier in the movie, Mikey was talking to the counselor or whatever, or the teacher. And then it was like a skeleton in the classroom. So Mikey's basically asking questions on who was the person, how did they die, when they died. So apparently he took the skeleton from the school. This was a smart little bastard. So he took the skeleton from the school. And sorry about that, y'all. He took the skeleton. I'm gonna have to finish this quickly, but he took the skeleton from the school, and he took it home with him. So what he did, he put the skeleton right there at the table. I had to plug in my computer, but yeah, he took the skeleton from the table, from the school, and put it at the table with the 3 adults that was already dead. So when the house blew, it made it seem like he was one of the ones that was in there that died before, it was another foster. I think it was the same foster home or the same adoption agency that found him on the side of, no, it had to been another it had to been another adoption agency, because Mikey went under a different name this time. His name was no longer Mikey. So when the next family came to adopt him, he went under a different name. So basically, he was still alive. And now you don't know what happened to this family, because that's basically the end of the film. So if I got to rate this film, I give it Mikey, I'll probably give it a 7. The movie was good. The quality wasn't all that great, but the movie was good. The characters was just pissing me off so bad, man, because it was just doing dumb shit. But yeah, I gave it a 7. It's a classic now to me, even though I never even heard of the film before. But it's like one of my favorite movies now because the shit is so cheesy. To me, it's not a psychological thriller. It's a horror. dealing with a little kid going around murdering motherfuckers and whatnot. But yeah, and it's also fun fact, it's the same kid that was in the movie Blank Check, if you seen that. That played the kid Preston, the main character. Yeah, that's him. But if you haven't seen Mikey, it's on Peacock. So I suggest you check it out. You might like it, you might not like it. It just depends on your taste. You know what I mean? But that's pretty much it, yo. And I appreciate y'all once again for listening. And this is once again your boy, Chris B. Daniels, and you are now on Show and Talk. So I will get with y'all soon. I have a video coming up Monday with my brother Cameron Best. We're gonna be talking about, again, miserable people, aka miserable bitches. And I ain't just talking about females, I'm talking about males too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's too much sensitivity going out here, y'all. And I just want to clear some things, and I also want to talk about steps on how to, make yourself less sensitive and everything. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Now, I appreciate y'all for listening to me. I'm about to jump off of here. So, I'll talk to y'all later. All right? Peace.